Hello everyone, I'm Ganjo, one of the co-hosts of Rhythm and Brews. So, to start us off, there's something I want to share with you, a story. There's something about this story, if you're keen enough about your history and your origins, you'll understand what I'm about to share. So firstly, back in the ages when the lifespan of men was 1,000 years, back when fantastical creatures were no longer myth, but were real, just as you and me, there lived a young man who dreamed of being a king. Not just a king, he knew there was much, much more than being a king. He was the youngest of 13, born in a family that was renowned in their time. Here's the thing, where I got this story, they forgot the name of that particular region because, well, if it's 1,000 years ago, well, things change. But one thing I know for certain is that they were renowned all through there because they were royalty. It was a family that was renowned for holding war campaigns to conquer territories, to change nations, and to acquire wealth as much as they could. The youngest was ridiculed by his brothers. Why? Because he had a heavy tongue, he had a lisp. There are words he could not pronounce correctly, but still, he had a presence about him. Whenever he stood to talk, people would listen. His elder brothers were jealous of him, but he still held his ground no matter what. He didn't let his speech impediment derail his dream and vision to one day be great. So you know, when you're raised as royalty, there are 4 things that you're taught. Number 1 is the art of war, to be in contact with your deity. So he was raised knowing all these things, but despite all that, he still had this vision that there was much, much more than what my family had. So they continued on with their war campaign, expanding territories, becoming an empire. It got to a point when they became all of age, all the 13 boys, that their father assigned to them, each one a duchy. That means a small region where there will be chiefs in to oversee the things that are going on of that region, to ensure that the kingdom is running smoothly. So our young man was assigned a duchy. And it's when he was in that duchy, he started having dreams. He would see many people, millions and millions of people bowing down to him and calling him our father. He used to confide these dreams with his mother, who would look at him and tell him, guess this, since I know you are a young man who has a huge dream and a huge vision, the day you decide to marry, make sure you marry a woman, a person who shares the same warrior spirit as you, a person of vision, and a person who has a drive, not someone who will deter you from what your dream is. Our young man continued dreaming. And then one day he decided, I think it is time for me to actually find a partner. So he asked one of his servants, here's the thing, we've heard that there are really beautiful and intelligent women in a certain region that neighbors us, which is part of our empire. Would you mind going there as an emissary and find me a partner worthy of my vision and my dream? So the servant was like, you know what, I'll set up a test for them. So he carried a shield, a spear, and bow and arrow. And then he went to where the people heard that the emissary of the head of the duchy was sending someone to find their daughter. So they brought all their daughters ready to meet the emissary of the king. So he landed there, the war gathered in the hall and ready to hear what the emissary had to say. So he said this, each young maiden who would like to be the partner and the bride of the king or the leader of this duchy, please, you have to step forward and answer this question. And if you're able to answer it correctly, you will be the one that I've chosen for my master. So the first lady showed up and he said this, if you were to go to war with my master, which of these implements would you choose to fight by his side using? The first lady chose the bow and arrow. And she was asked, why did you choose the bow and arrow? She said, you know, when you have a bow and an arrow, you can shoot an enemy from afar before he gets near, so making sure that you're thinning the enemy that is approaching. The emissary was like, "Wise thought. Kindly have a seat. Let us see what the other maidens have to say about this." The second one stepped up. She was asked the very same question. "If you were to go towards fight side by side with my master, what would you use?" She picked the sword, and she was asked, "Why did you pick the sword?" And she said, "I am an equal to him. And since I'm a master of this, I'm able to cut down any foe that goes above him or beyond him. That way I'll be able to be of great support to him." He's like, "Okay, that's wise. That's good and shrewd. Thank you for your answer. Would you mind just sitting down and let me hear what the last lady," because there were three maidens who were presented. The last maiden stood up and she was asked, "Okay, since all the other options are there, which one would you prefer?" She took the shield. And when she was asked why the shield, she's like, "I know that every master has a great vision, has a great dream. And what he needs is someone to shield him from all the things that he doesn't see that are a threat to his dream. Whether it's an enemy, far or domestic, or even in the house, I'll be able to shield him from it as his armor bearer." The guy was like, "Okay, this seems as if the gods had sent someone who is fitting for the master." So the emissary decided to pick the third maiden, the one who chose the shield. Then they traveled back to the kingdom. The young man, when he saw her, he was amused. He was like, "Oh, this is such a beautiful lady." And he got a chance to actually ask her a few questions, of which I would not tell you what he asked in the interest of time. But he realized, indeed, I have found a partner who I will share my vision with, who is worthy to take me where I'm going. So, indeed, she was worthy of the vision, because with her by his side, they managed to expand the duchy to a small kingdom that was thriving in commerce, in trade, and in diplomacy, that it became very, very wealthy. Whenever there was a war, whenever he was going out to war, she stood the ground and protected the kingdom while he was away. This went on for so many years that they continued expanding and thriving more than the other 12 brothers, that even the father recognized that the one who had a speech impediment is actually greater than the others. But the young man, now a middle-aged man, was not content. He still remembered, "There's still something more I saw in my dreams. I still want that." So one day, while he was just seated in his throne, he looked at the maiden as his wife and realized that over the years, as they had really been pursuing conquering and expanding their kingdom, he could notice that the smile she had from the first day that he met her had slowly faded to someone ambaye amekaa kama ameuma ndimu. She was always amesema kuuma ndimu, ameuma ndimu all through, because she had seen so much of war that happiness was taken out of her. And the man, because he was really driven by his vision, he had forgotten something. And by looking at her, he remembered, wait, I had overlooked something important. One evening, he sat her down, looked her straight in the eyes and told her, "How it must have been so lonely by my side. We've been chasing dreams, building kingdoms, and we left love behind. I'm praying to our God that even though we've drawn the battle lines, we still won't give up this fight of making you and me work despite of what I have. Would you still consider me worthy of your presence, of your love, of your affection?" She stood up and looked at him and she realized, you actually saw the thing that not every man would see. This was her test for him. It's like, indeed, you've proven that even though you have a vision, you still value me more than that. Why haven't you given me children yet? Even though this is what you desire. And the man was taken aback because he realized, wait, in my desire to be king, in my dream, I saw millions and millions calling me father. So that means there's something I'm missing out. So he went into his chambers and had a conversation with their God. And he asked their God this question: if indeed you've called me out to be greater than a king, to be a father to millions and millions? Why is it that I haven't found it in me to actually sire children? And still, that very night when he slept, it came to him in a dream. He's like, you cannot build a nation where you are. You need to change the location and go to somewhere that I will tell you. The middle-aged man decided, you know what, I think it's time for me to leave. So he couldn't leave the duchy unattended and his kingdom. So he went to his father and told him, Father, it's time for me to leave because I had this dream and had this vision. It's time for me to leave. The father was hesitant to allow him to leave, but he eventually allowed him to. But when the mother heard that the son, her beloved son, who had shared, confided with him all the dreams and the visions he had, was leaving, she said, there's no way I can let you leave without me pronouncing a blessing over you. And she said this to her beloved son. May the sky lead you. May the fire cleanse you. May the water nourish you. And let the land feed you. Go well, my son. So, he took his wife, left the duchy under the stewardship of his the other brother who was right before him, and he started on a journey. This time he had heard that the best place where he needed to be, he had heard amongst traders, because his duchy was filled with people who are trading, that there's a place that has beautiful mountains, highlands, green and inhabited by little people who are very friendly and very wonderful, and he can settle there quietly with no issues. And the name of the land, this one I remember, was Ta-Nateru. He decided to start his journey. They trekked, him and his wife, until they got to the slopes of a certain mountain that had white-capped, snow-capped mountain, and plains that looked very beautiful and luscious. And he sat there and realized that exactly where he's standing is what he had been seeing in his dream. And this is where he will start his kingdom and sire his family. But he realized there was one thing. The life he had before could not be the one that defines what he is now. He needed to change his identity and create a new one for himself and for his wife. So he turned and looked at her and told her this: since indeed, as the one who is fit to bring my vision to life, you are the one who is going to sire the generations that are going to call me Father. You are going to take part with the God that we worship in creating these generations that we are. Thus, from this day onwards, I will call you Mobi. And then he told her this, because of the identity I had as the king of the duchy where I was, I will also change my name so that the people who will come from me will draw their identity from me as their father. They will be identified by my name. They will be known as Gekoyo. So his name is Gekoyo. So Gekoyo and Mombi settled in Ta-Nateru, but they couldn't give it that particular name that the Egyptians used to give the place. So they called it what? Who knows? Gekoyo and Mombi walikuwa nakaa alama ya dukuduku. And then they decided to settle. And just when they had decided to build a hut where they're going to have their children and everything, they heard that there was something approaching their residence. It's not the little people, but something bigger, fantastical, that they were not expecting to find them there. To be continued. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is Rhythm and Brews. Allow me to introduce to you the band. On the violin is Grace. Munaisikia venye anaichuna vizuri. Lovely. Lovely. On the strings over there is Cyril, anaifanya mambo proper. Right. And on the saxophone we have Miles. And on the microphone is yours truly. Takuwa fundi wa mitambo pale will make sure everything that is working. If you want to hear the continuation of my story, I'll continue it on May 9th, the next edition of Rhythm and Brews, because this is just a beginning. Enjoy!
evening once again. My name is Wairimo Wamwagi. I am amongst the 9 Keda Moyolu of Gikoyo and Mombi. My name, meaning warrior, potter, and smith. But I'm not here for that right now. Right now, I want to introduce you to the papers you have in your hand. They have been collected from something called a story cube. And this evening, we are going to be writing our own original stories as the audience. And I did mine before all this. So I am going to read it. I do not qualify for the competition. Please, if you are listening in, vote for the best candidate who will be receiving an award from Rhythm and Brews. And here goes. Good evening, dear listeners. Today you are going to be listening to an original story by myself, Wairimo Wamwagi, as guided by the story cubes that you have in your hand. The old man gathered us together under the sacred tree to tell us a tale. This is no ordinary tale, he said. It is a riddle, and time itself is hunting you. The fish of Lake Samaki have vanished, and the water spirits grow restless and cover the source of disappearance before they awaken. He studied our faces. Do not think you are to walk this path alone. The strength of one is a spark, but the strength of many is a wildfire, said the old man. You will be your brother's keeper, and you will listen and carry the wisdom of which your teammates speak. And remember, he said, raising his staff towards the sky, even the smallest voice may hold the key to solving the mystery. He leaned in closer, while around us the winds shifted as if the ancestors themselves had gathered to see how we would solve it. And so he continued, it begins. Once up that, my dear listeners, we stepped into an epic African story at chapter 4 of Rhythm and Brews. Karibuni.
Every community has a story of its legends. For the Luo community, that person is Luanda Magere. So today I'm going to teach you a response to every time you sit under a fig tree, under an old baobab tree, listening to the story from Guka, or how we call them, Kwaru. When I say Josiganaganwe, you respond by saying Ganwa Sigandi Mamitno. So let's try this. Josiganaganwe. E ndalo machon, higni manene, ne nitiere thuon e pinyno mar jogo mwang'eyo kaka Joluo. Thuon ni en manobiro kaka resruok mar jogo manihinyo pile ka pile. Nyinge Lwanda Magere. Ne jogo manonene sama ninyuole, kendo jogo mano oyudo thuolo mar ng'eye. It follows that when he was given birth to, those who were around and came to see him, when he was 3 days old, he was lying, his stomach facing the roof. And then when they stepped out, he pointed at the mother twice, like this. And then it happened again, that when the mother went out to call another person to bear witness to what was going on, he pointed at them once. So the growing up of Lwanda was not just your typical child. For most of the kids, they were normal. But for Lwanda, sometimes when they were out playing, he would hold 2 kids on one side of his arm and lift them up. And they would ask, "Where do you get your strength?" And then he'd tell them, "I'm not like you. I'm sent from heaven." Every other time, he will do things that were considered mysterious. At some point, most would say that he was mythical. Well, one time, they went swimming. And as usual, we usually thrust water at each other when you swim on those streams or pools. So for Lwanda, the water was not touching the skin. He was human, he was breathing, he was eating like the rest of them. But in this instance, he was always a rock. So when you threw water at him, the water will slide off his skin. Or rather, his rock. So days passed by, and as a tradition, a young man do not attend the village barazas. But one time, Lwanda walks into one. The elders is seated. They're wondering, we've always been at loggerheads with the Kalenjins at the border. So this means that they were always warring, as our communities and our African communities. Anytime there was a boundary dispute, then there will be war. So Lwanda walks into one of these deliberation meetings and then tells the elders that I want you to take the spear and I want you to farm it in the ground in a way that the spearhead looks up. That way you'll win the war. In Luo, they'll call that bithi. So when you take the bithi and then you put it on the ground, face up, in some cultures it means that this place is already owned, or the owner of this homestead is around. So the funny part is, most of them discredited him, dismissed him as a young man. They said that he was just in his glory days and was drinking a lot, so he didn't understand what he was saying. So this is the twist. One of the elders was like, "Chikuru witu kendo winj gima nyathini wacho. Onyalo bedo ni otin kako tin no, lakini gino mowacho waseneno kendo wang'eyo ni ok en kaka nyithindo moko. Wasewinjo mbekni migoyo kendo wasewinjo mano ma luorowa. Ni mae e kaka en. Omiyo watem mondo waluw gino mowachono." That is to mean, he may be saying rubbish, but we've seen how mysterious he's been, how mythical he's been, so we can listen this time. So they go ahead and they deliberate. Then Lwanda walks away saying, "That one day when I'll be able to buy my own machete and my own spear, then I'll show you that nobody will come and beat us on our own land." So he grows into a fine young man. He grows in spirit and in stature, as we'd say. So Lwanda continues, and every other time when there are wars, he yearns for the day when he can buy a spear and a machete, because there was a threshold for that. So when one day he gets to that part when he can actually own one, Luanda goes to the market and comes with a mighty spear and a machete this size, very big. And then he chants out. He gives a war cry. Sometimes in Luo we call that sigia. It's typical of what Akoko did when Chief Odero Gogni was falling apart. In that regalia, which was God's skin, he came home and he said, "Never again, not in our land, will we ever be defeated." What was not known to many, and especially the oppressors, was that Luanda was a stone, literally. So his flesh was stone. Even if you speared him, threw anything at him, he won't be hurt. So war broke out at the borders. The first expedition of 10 individuals was sent from high up the hills. They came, and then in the olden days, they'll send out parties. The first party will be of 5 individuals who will be at the very border, because you had to cross a river to get to the other side. The second party was 3 individuals, and the last party that was closer to the village where Luanda was from were 2 individuals. So these parties, their role was to either give a shout, ululate, or produce a specific sound, a war cry. So on this particular afternoon around 3 p.m., the first party releases a yell, a war cry. The second party picks it and relays it to the next one, the last party. And then the last party does the call, the ultimate call. So Luanda, in his thrill, picks 6 young men and himself. They walk towards danger. Necessarily, for most of us, when danger comes, we run away from it. But Luanda was ready and prepared this time, because he knew that he is mythical. That was 1. 2, he was of age to be a warrior. So with him, he had carried a spear and a machete. Then when they were approaching the enemy, Luanda did something a little bit cynical. He tells the 6 that you go back home, don't worry, don't fret to be here, because I'll fight this war alone. So he pushes them away. And then, as brotherhood or war will state, you don't leave someone alone, you don't leave them in war alone. So they stick to him and try pulling him as much as they could. They try pushing him and telling him, let's go back together. But he was standing on the very same ground, like he was rooted there. So at the end of it all, there's a Luo saying that says, Buro Loya, which means in literal translation, meeting has defeated me. That is a direct translation, but in essence it means this is beyond me. So Luanda goes ahead and fights off the 10, killing 5. Then 5 run away to take a report, like, hey, we've met a man at the borders. He's not our typical man. This time we couldn't take cows, we couldn't steal anything. So that was the first time. The second time the same thing happened. He killed 5 again, and 5 ran away, and they went with a report. So the elders the other side sat down and they said, now we need to come up with a strategy. It's a typical scenario of a rebellion, it's squashed, they come back the second time, it's squashed, and then they go back to the drawing board and they choose like ambassadors. So elders are sent from the other land to come to this land of Luanda Magere to negotiate peace. So the first time they come, they sit down, they have a drink, and then they say, we are going to give you 12 cows, 6 bulls, and 6 heifers. So we are going to do a mixture. And the elders agree. But one elder in particular was very argumentative, and he was always trouble. So he goes ahead and says, no, I know these people, they're treasurers. So what they'll do is that they'll bring the cows, and when we go out to hunt or do something, they'll come back and steal those cows again. So we are not going to allow a cow. And Luanda saw sense in that because he was the warrior, he was the voice of the community at this point. So the second proposal was this, that we are going to give your warrior, Luanda Magere, 2 very beautiful ladies to marry from our land. He is not required to pay bride price. Consider that done from our end, but we are going to give the ladies whatsoever. So Luanda sees this, and as a man who is polygamous as such in that community, Luanda goes ahead and says yes and accept them in. What he did not know, that one of the ladies that was being given was a sister to one of the men that he killed amongst the 5, and the other one was a niece to one of the men that he killed during the second raid. So typically, they were sent as spies who came to know where his strength was. So in the Kalenjin land, when you go visiting to another land, you carry mursik, or what we call the milk, prepared in a special way. So they came bearing 2 gourds. These gourds had milk. And for us, a good meal is always cherished at home. So they get there, they pour the first gourd and the eldest drink. But the wife to Luanda Magere says, hey, I've got news from home, my mom is not well, and my village and this place is not that far, so I'm going to step out. The second wife, who was like one of those 2 ladies, insists that, hey, could you taste this milk? That was the second gourd. But being a woman who has stayed in a community where intuition and vision are things that are inseparable, he studied and realized and noted that there was something sinister about the second gourd. So she tells them, hey, I'm not going to drink your milk, I'm full. And then warns the elders that, hey, any other time, you guys are always swayed and taken away by the milk and the meat of the land. You love yourself a good meal, but I won't blame you if you die eating that. And she leaves. The following morning, as typical, the elders gather around, and Luanda sends for the second gourd and sends the wife who brought the milk. The wife refuses to go, so he sends his younger brother. And Magere awaits. So as the milk gets there, the elders come up with an ingenious plan. They say, it is tradition that if you suspect that somebody wants to poison you, they taste the food first. The wife becomes clever and says, in our tradition, it says that it is the husband's duty to have the first sip and then pass it to everybody else, like serve everybody else. So Luanda does something cynical again. He calls for more like a calabash and then pours the milk in and then calls one of the dogs and then gives the dog. The dog dies immediately. What they didn't know then was that in the second gourd, the lady's uncle was actually one of those medicine men who knew how to prepare poison. So they had gone, killed a snake, took the poison and infused it in the milk. So the first dog dies. Luanda thinks probably this is just a coincidence. So he calls the second dog. It dies on the spot. The third dog dies on the spot. Everybody goes mouth agape. They're shocked. So the lady is sent away and banished. Again, what they didn't know was that there was a plot that was in play. So the lady pleads and begs, and Luanda, being a man of good heart, he accepts the lady back in his house, but does not want any interaction. So the very first time, the lady feigns sickness. She says, hey, I'm not feeling so well, and my uncle taught me something that whenever I'm sick, I shall do some piercings on my skin and then go and cast the birds outside. So she does that, and then the lady tells her, for this to work, you also have to cut yourself. More like a blood ritual. So Luanda says, okay, I'll go ahead and cut you, and then I'll give you the razor to cut yourself. So the lady is cut, and then she tries cutting Luanda, but no blood comes out. Luanda leaves the room to go talk to the elders and then come back. And then he narrates to the elders that, hey, my wife is telling me A, B, C, and D, and this is what I think. The elders warn him that don't tell her the source of your power. This might be familiar to you because probably you've read the story of Samson and Delilah. And you know that one of those things was the source of power, or the secret of power, is never revealed. So Luanda goes back in with a warning that, hey, don't you dare tell her the source of your power or strength. Then they realize, the lady realizes and then runs away. Goes, takes the sister, or rather the other wife, the two that came together, they run away to their land. And then they relay this information that, hey, we found his source of weakness. And then they come up with a plot. So now they gather on the other land, and then they take the mat, which is made of papyrus reed, and then they wrap one of their men with a spear, very sharp spear, and then the lady carries her. In Luo we call it par. So par is that mat. If you came from those traditional homes, at one point you slept on them. So par, it covers you in a way, so it's cylindrical. So when somebody carries you here, nobody will notice. So they come and then lay them next to a rock somewhere. And then the lady goes to one of the meetings, abuses Luanda, and starts running away. As a man, his ego is hurt, so he starts running after the lady. And when they are almost getting to this stone, the rock where the guy was kept, the guy that was kept was called Arab Samoei. No pun intended. So this man was sent as one of the warriors of that land to come finish this land. So he comes in, and then he's waiting silently. So as this lady approaches this rock, he readies his spear, waiting for the shadow of Luanda to come. So as Luanda slows down, he aims for the side, here. And when the shadow gets there, he pierces it so hard that Luanda releases a shriek, saying this: Gimitamo emari, kirikwan modong. What you've eaten is what is yours. Don't count what is left. I know you've heard it typically in funerals when people are doing that and then sowing joy. So this was the buffalo of the land, joy, literally shrieking that. And then the community hears that, and then they get the fear. Just immediately as they were leaving, they hear from the other land, they're chanting and saying, today we come for all your cows, we come for all your girls and all your women and children. We are coming to conquer you. Your hero, your buffalo, is dead. 3 days later, they couldn't find the body of Luanda Magere because it was not there, but they could only find spots of blood, like 3 spots, which are preserved to this day, by the way. So those 3 spots, they come, they do some rituals and all that, but they still can't find him. The first year passes, there's no rain in the land. The second year passes, there's no rain in the land. The third year, they find more like a seer to come do some rituals. To cut the story short, one time when they are around a rock, they hear a voice saying, hey, I want you to bring a white bull. Let's do A, B, C, and D. Prepare it in this way, and then leave me a chunk of this. And that very moment when they do that, and then they pray to the gods, the rains fall, that even animals could not go out to herd. And Luanda happens to come somewhere around the Kano Plains. So if you've ever had floods in that region, mythically, they're always associated with such moments when the hero remembers the land. So to this day, there's a rock that has veins. It's been preserved, and it's a site actually where those who want to see the hero of Luanda Magere go. They pay tribute to that shrine, and at some point it is said that the rock grows to a level that you'd see like a man who is seated on his throne. At some point he becomes so small, and if you try digging that rock, it keeps going down. So that right there is the story of Luanda Magere. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is DJ V, and tonight I'm gonna read you a story inspired by Dwayne Stevenson, the song Too Bad. Alright fam, pull a chair and lean in close. You know, I was listening to that Dwayne Stevenson classic, You're Too Bad, and it got me thinking about games people play. I've got a story for you tonight that proves common sense is not always common. This is the legend of the Tuesday night taboo, or as elders call it, how to lose everything before the sun goes down. Let's talk about Mateo. Now, Mateo wasn't your average guy. He was a man who truly believed his tongue was smoother than a polished river stone, and his wit was sharper than a hunter's spear. In his own mind, Mateo was a strategic genius, a real Spider-Man. He thought he could trap the wind in a basket while the rest of the village was still trying to figure out how to weave. But there's a thin line between being a mastermind and just being caught in your own web. Mateo found himself in a dream scenario that elders would like to call a high-stake dance with a mamba, the crocodile. He entangled with two women who weren't just friends, they were covenant sisters. They'd been sharing secrets since they were toddlers fetching waters at the stream. Naleti, she was a woman of heart. She brewed the finest refreshments, had the grace of a gazelle, Naleti. She was the woman of heart. She brewed the finest refreshment, had the grace of a gazelle, and was already mentally picking out the decors for their future hearts. And then there was Moire, the firebrand. One look at Moire was like a spark on a dry thatch. Mateo didn't just like her. He craved her energy like a traveler craves shade in Sahara. They had two, so he had to come up with a genius solution. So here it goes. Instead of picking a lane, Mateo decided to drive down the middle of the road, which, as we all know, usually leads to a head-on collision. He decided to play a game of shadows. He told Moire that he was consulting elders or tending a distance field. You know, the original lie, I'm working late at the office. He'd only sneak to her place under the cover of the Tuesday moon. The rest of the week, that was pledged to Naleti. For a season, the man felt untouchable. He would sit by Naleti's fire, eating her food, knowing full well that her soul sister Moire had shared his company just 24 hours prior. He was drunk in his own cunning, feeling like a chief without a crown. So I'm gonna give you a tip. If you feel like a genius for lying for two people who literally grew up together, you're not a genius. You're just a countdown clock with no off button. Definitely he's going to get soft. And he's going to swallow a bitter herb or a bitter pill. But here is the wisdom of the ancestors. The higher the ego flies, the more the ground waits for its return. While Mateo was busy feeling like a legend, the ancestors, and more importantly, these two women were brewing a pot of very bitter herb. You see, women talk. And when soul sisters talk, they compare notes. It doesn't take a genius or a village elder to realize that if Mateo is tending distance fields every Tuesday and Moire has a secret visitor every Tuesday, the math starts to math. So Dwayne Stevenson said it best, "You're too bad." And our Mateo, you weren't good enough to be bad for long. The end didn't come with a shout, it arrived with a smirk. One evening, Mateo grew arrogant. He thought his charm had literally blinded the entire world. He dressed in the finest skin, smelling like expensive oil, and headed out to the great village gathering. The drums were beating, the fire was roaring, and the whole community was there. Mateo stood there, chest puffed out like a mating bird, waiting for the ladies to admire him. Suddenly, the crowd parted. His heart didn't just stop, it turned to lead. Walking towards the firelight were Naleti and Moire. They weren't pulling each other's hair, they weren't screaming, they were walking arm in arm, wearing matching beads they had traded as children. They looked at Mateo, then looked at each other and just smiled. The master plan had just cracked. The master plan had just cracked. It had shattered like a clay pot dropped from a rooftop. And in that moment, Mateo didn't feel like a leopard. He felt like a wet dog caught in a thunderstorm. He stood there praying that the earth would open and swallow him whole. But the earth was too busy enjoying the show. So we've got to learn something from there. Mateo learned the hard way that you cannot tether two goats at the same post and expect the rope not to tangle, especially when the goats grew up in the same pen. So, for all the spiders listening tonight, if you think you're praying the hearts of women, just remember Mateo, because the same fire that lights up the dance is the same fire that's going to reveal your eyes. Mateo, you thought you were a lion, but tonight, thanks to the warm night taboo, you are just a fumble of folly. Peace, love, and watch your steps. This is DJV signing off.
Muriega waine wa mothe aya kai mutare yakenu. I know that we have tumesikiza hizo lugha mbili ambayo ni monja, but I really wonder gwabiriri yako tondu ni muthenya wa gikeno, so I have to start my story in a different way. Hĩndĩ ĩmwe tene tene mũno rĩ, nĩ kwarĩ athuri atatũ na metereire mũthuri ũmwe nĩgetha mathiĩ kĩama. Mũthuri ũcio nĩ aikarire mũno, no makĩona tondũ nĩ aikara mũno rĩ, tũgwĩka atĩa? Mũthuri ũmwe tu agĩkiuga, let me give you a story. So nĩ akĩambĩrĩirie karũgano gake mũthuri ũcio ũmwe o metereire mũthuri ũrĩa nĩgetha oke magĩthiĩ kĩama. Nĩ akĩambĩrĩirie rũgano, agĩkĩambĩrĩria akiuga, hĩndĩ ĩmwe tene tene mũno rĩ, nĩ kwarĩ tũhĩĩ twarĩithagia mbũri, na gwakinya ithaa rĩa thaa mũgwanja-inĩ rĩ, nĩ macerithĩirio kũreherwo irio. Ũguo keruru-inĩ karĩa marĩ nĩ magwatirwo nĩ gatoro na magĩkiuga meigĩrĩre. No kahũni kamwe gagĩciria atĩrĩrĩ, mbũri ici citigũthiĩ mũgũnda. Gakiuga nĩgetha tweherie kũmboeka kana nĩgetha tweherie ũhoro wa kũrehe gũcũnga rĩ, nĩ ngũmũganĩra karũgano. Kahũni kau gagĩkĩambĩrĩria, nĩ ngũmũganĩra karũgano. Hĩndĩ ĩmwe tene tene mũno rĩ, nĩ kwarĩ atumia atatũ marugaga nyũngũ ya gĩtheri ĩgĩkua. No metereire nĩ atĩ maguka kwĩra athuri ao rĩ, mũtumia ũmwe agĩciria atĩrĩrĩ, no ndĩmwĩre kĩ karũgano. Nĩ akĩambĩrĩirie, nĩ ngũmũganĩra karũgano, otherwise ngwendaga kuona kana tũrĩ hamwe, no rĩu rũgano rwakwa rĩ rũrĩ haha rwa Wamahiti. So long time ago there lived a hyena, ama vile wanapenda kuwaita mafisi. Fisi ni fisi, si ndio? So Wamahiti mũthenya ũmwe rĩ, nĩ ũndũ wa ũkoroku wake rĩ, ena ciana ciake ithatũ hau rĩ, nĩ eciririe na arĩ na ng'aragu iyo ĩtarĩ nini. So the hyena was extremely hungry, yes, whatever. So agĩgucia kana kamwe gĩkera, nĩkĩ gĩatũma njigue ta ũranunga mbũri. So now that was the end of that young little hyena. So kana kau agĩgĩtuĩka sapa, gakĩrĩo nĩ nyina na twana tũrĩa tũngĩ twarĩ twĩrĩ. One of the neighbors arĩ wa mabuku. He sat and thought, what the hell is going on? Angĩhota atĩa kũrĩa ciana? Kai Hiti arĩ mũkoroku atĩ hagũkinya handũ arĩa ciana ciake. So now Wamabuku began a campaign acokanĩrĩrie at least arata erĩ atatũ nĩgetha makĩeherie kĩconoko gĩkĩ gĩakĩrehwo nĩ Wamahiti. Marĩrĩcirie-inĩ rĩu rĩ, agĩkĩaria na mũndũ wetagwo Nguru. Nguru nĩ mũndũ ũtarĩ mahenya, kana nĩ mũndũ ũkoragwo arĩ so calm. So the hare kana Wamabuku decided to have a thoughtful talk with the tortoise. Nguru rĩ akĩmwĩra ĩtũngĩciria Wamabuku tondũ nĩ wĩciragia, you know Wamabuku is a clever creature in nature. Kĩmwĩra kaĩ ũtangĩciria ũrĩa tũngĩeheria ũhoro ũyũ wa Wamahiti gũkoroka, tũngĩmwehereria gĩkoroko gĩkĩ atĩa? Magĩciria kama kawaida wa mabuku agĩgĩkama up na idea. So now nĩ agĩkiugire he kanya gaka guone ũrĩa tũgũthomithia Wamahiti a lesson that he will never forget. So Wamabuku nĩ agĩthire akĩrehe Wamahiti. Hĩndĩ ĩyo riũa rĩakanĩte wega, kwĩna tũmatu tũcokanĩrĩire. Wamabuku akĩmwĩra, ĩ Wamahiti rĩ, nĩ ũrĩreciria kaũndũ ndĩreciria? So agĩkĩmwĩra, ona kũrĩa igũrũ? Wamahiti akĩrora igũrũ, kĩrũre kengwĩre, there is something that can keep you satisfied for the rest of your life. Angĩkorwo nĩ ũgũthikĩrĩria. So now Wamahiti akĩona no ũkoroku ũrĩa wake, na nĩma angĩkorwo nĩ gũkorwo hunĩte maisha makwa mothe, I think I will have to give it a thought. So rĩu Wamabuku nĩ akĩmwĩrire, marĩa ũrona kũrĩa igũrũ metagwo mathunya. If you feed on them, ũkũnora nginya appetite yaku ĩkĩ atĩa? Appetite yaku ĩkĩ atĩa? So rĩu Wamahiti nĩ agĩthire akĩrora twana twake, agĩkiuga ng'aragu nĩ yathira. So for them to give him or her now Wamahiti ũcio the lesson of the life, Wamabuku nake agĩcokanĩrĩria some two eagles citagwo nderi, kũrĩ macitaga nderi kana rwĩgĩ kana whatever you want to call them. So now Wamahiti agĩkĩrwo, we ũmenyerete gũthiaga na magũrũ ta thua, riu nĩ ihinda rĩaku rĩa kũmbũka wone thĩ ĩngĩ ũrĩage mathunyo ta gwĩka atĩa ta gwĩciria ũhoro wa kũrĩa ciana ciaku. So the greedy hyena decides this is a good idea, so agĩgĩciria reke tũkĩambate. Haya, rĩu nĩ magĩgĩthire magĩkĩmũrehera the eagles came magĩgĩũka na a branch yani kamũtĩ and rĩu magĩkĩmwĩra rĩu werĩ ũkwĩnyitĩrĩra haha twambate nawe tũkarĩe kĩ mathunya ndiũka nĩ wagĩkua ikũnia nĩgetha ũkĩrehere ciana ciaku tondũ kũrĩa it is once in a lifetime, so you have to think about it na wĩcirie ũrĩa ũgũkĩhũnia ciana ciaku nĩgetha rũgano rũrĩa rũrekĩkire rũtigeke atĩa rũtigacokereke. So rũgendo nĩ rwakĩambĩrĩria magĩkĩrĩkanĩra rũciũ tũrokanĩre tene, no harĩ ũndũ ũmwe wa mabuku ekire. Nĩanengerire rwĩgĩ rũmwe gakĩrĩa nĩakĩrire rwĩgĩ rũmwe rũrute gacoya garuo rũgĩkĩhaka tũmaguta twanungaga ta tũmaguta twa mbũri ĩrĩa hiti yake kĩiguire nĩgetha ĩkĩrĩe ciana kĩ ciayo. Rũgendo rũgĩkĩambĩrĩria nĩ wacio nĩ mambata wa mahiti nĩerĩra ciana ciake gũtirĩ kũhũta tũkahũta, agĩthondeka karwĩmbo kamwe akiuga twathiĩ kũrĩa igũrũ gwĩka atĩa twathiĩ kũrĩa igũrũ kũrĩa twathiĩ kũrĩa igũrũ aya nĩmakĩambĩrĩirie rũgendo no o ta ũrĩa warĩ mũbango nĩgetha ikorwo ĩrĩ a lesson to the hyena. Rwĩgĩ rũmwe nĩ rwakĩhakire haha ka branch gaka wa mahiti akĩnyitĩte rĩ ndagĩkĩhakire gakĩrĩa mombũkĩte nĩ mamĩkire sure nĩ mathiĩ igũrũ biũ kũndũ gũtaroneka wega. It is a lesson to the hyena ndakanacokere gĩko kĩrĩa arekire nĩ ũndũ wa ũkoro. Rĩu hiti rĩ no ĩrĩa nĩ ngoroku ndĩgũkĩigua kamũtĩ nĩ gakĩnunga mathunya we gĩkiuga kwĩrĩrwo ti gwĩka atĩa kwĩrĩrwo ti kũheo wambĩrĩria na maya ndĩro no akĩriganĩrwo maya arona rĩ nĩyo safety yake kana nĩho enyitĩrĩire nĩgetha kĩ nĩgetha agĩkinye kũrĩa kwa mathunya akĩrũmaka akĩanjia kwĩyũria kaingĩire na mathagu rĩu nĩanjia gũthiĩ nĩanjia kũharũrũka no akĩona thibindi ũcio agwa tondũ agĩikarire thĩ agĩtĩnĩka. Nyamũ ici mwĩtaga dinaries dislocate, so he began limping from that time. Rĩu wa mahiti rĩ to aragĩthua he started limping but one thing never got out of his mind. Nĩakĩiguire kana kangĩ thutha wa thikũ cigana ũna nĩkĩo wakĩnunga ta wa mabuku mũndũ we kana gagĩtemba ihenya gagĩgĩthiĩ kwa mũnyaka gagĩthiĩ gagĩkĩra wa mabuku gakĩmwĩra rĩu rĩ nderwo rĩranunga tawe we nawe ũĩkĩ rĩu nĩ kũharĩria iruga. Wa mabuku nũndũ wa ũgĩ wake rĩ nĩakĩharĩirie maruga maita merĩ. Iruga rĩa mbere agĩthiĩ agĩka research ciake akĩmenya nĩ kũrĩ andũ metagwo athwaĩri a kuma na gũkũ Mambatha kana na gũkũ Coast mathondeke gapirau karĩa kareka atĩa karuga wega. Nĩguo mwena ũyũ rĩngĩ rĩ nĩ harĩ andũ aya metagwo ũkabi kana maathai macide nyama rĩu wa mahiti akomete ũguo rĩ kamũhera karĩa aiguire ka mbere nĩ gagabiraũ akĩraigua ũguo rĩngĩ gakarangĩtwo gakarangwo Mwathani akiuga nĩ kũgũkũ rĩu harĩa njĩra harĩa maũndũ ma magegania makĩrĩ wa mahiti ndakĩanjia gũthiĩ gwethana na kamũrukĩ gake ga Firaũ nĩguo akĩrĩ arũma Firaũ nenda kũigua ũrĩa Mwarabu aigua agĩtemete agatema agĩkinya haha na akĩdigua atĩ ĩno acina nyama Ngai Mwathani rĩu rĩ nĩ nakũ mwena ũyũ rĩ aranungĩra kĩ nyama choma mwena ũyũ ũngĩ naguo kĩ akiuga rĩu akinya harĩa gatagatĩ-inĩ akiuga rĩu niĩ ndĩ wa mahiti tondũ ũngĩamũgeithie rũcinĩ wa mbere akũragia tũrarĩa kĩ icio nĩcio ciarĩ ngeithi ciake ũguo anyitirwo na ndake na nda yake so he started walking kiuga rĩu rĩ ndiĩ gũtirĩ kĩndũ na kĩmwe gĩkũnjũ hakuna kitu hata moja no agaitarĩ hiti agĩkiuga we mwena wakwa omotho gera ino hiti akĩanjia gũthiĩ iniũrũ rĩu nĩ rĩatuĩka confused akĩanjia gũthiĩ rĩu harĩa agĩkinyire rũgendo no arenda gũthiĩ no araigua mũnungo no araigua gũkũ no tondũ wokoroku wake rĩ arenda kũrĩa kĩ within a matter of few seconds kana few distance athiĩte agĩthiĩ kwa bahati mbaya nĩ agĩkorire mũndũ warĩ na gathĩi gaka karengaga mbĩtĩ getagwo atĩa kakagũithagia tagwo power saw mũndũ wetereire harĩa agĩkahũra kĩ rĩu mũndũ wakwa rĩ mũndũ witũ agĩthiĩ rĩ kanyamũ nĩ gakana ahũrirwo maita maigana nĩakũrĩa gabiraũ nĩakũrĩa nyama choma karũgano gakwa kangĩgĩthirĩra hau rĩ ndahĩtĩria ũũ
Good evening once again. We said that stories are of different kinds. So today I'm going to attempt to read a story, and hopefully my Kikuyu will not interfere. If you can all help me say, what is the title of the story? So in case you hear Zed the zebra, please forgive me. So, Zed, the zebra, was fast, and he was very fast. He could run faster than Ronald the rhino, faster than Georgina the giraffe, faster than Herbert the warthog, and even faster than Nelson the elephant. I am the fastest runner in all of Africa, boasted Zed. Then one day, the animals decided to challenge Zed to a race. Not just any old race, explained Nelson. An obstacle race. Obstacle race or not, I'll still win, said Zed, as he strutted to the start line. After all, I am the one with the go faster stripes. The snip-snip bird whistled the start signal, and all the animals raced away. We can imagine who is first, right? Zed thundered ahead to the first obstacle, the jungle. He jumped this way, he jumped that way, but the jungle was so thick that Zed could not find a way through. So what do you think he is going to do? No, he's not going to jump over the jungle, but Nelson, the elephant, could. With his big feet, he flattened a path all the way through the jungle. You may have go faster stripes, trumpeted Nelson to Zed, but I am the one with the tree trampling feet. Ebu angalia miguu yangu tafadhali. So who is ahead in the animal kingdom? Musiseme Zed the zebra. Now, Zed followed Nelson and raced ahead to the next obstacle, the big boulders. Piece of cake, thought Zed, but the big boulders were too big and too wobbly for Zed, but not for Ronald the rhino. So someone else is gaining ahead. He crushed the big boulders into lots and lots of little ones. You may have go faster stripes, muttered Ronald to Zed, but I am the one with the boulder bashing horn. So right now we have the rhino in front, sinyo kweli? Zed kameachwa nyuma. Zed soon caught up with Ronald. See you at the finish, he laughed as he raced to the next obstacle, the great grasses. But the great grasses were too tall. Zed couldn't see anything, the way in or the way out. But Georgina the giraffe could. With her neck, she could see over the great grasses and find her way out. You may have the go faster stripes, said Georgina to Zed, but I am the one with the special stretching neck. So who is ahead this time? Yes, Georgina the giraffe. Zed was still the fastest runner. Once more, he raced ahead until he came to the last obstacle, the Blue Mountain. But the mountain was too steep. The faster Zed ran, the more he slipped. How would he get past the Blue Mountain? He did not know how to climb. So how do you think he will get past the Blue Mountain? There is one animal we have not yet mentioned, right? We cannot remember, can we? Now, it was Herbert the warthog, and he knew how to dig. He started to dig a long, narrow tunnel to the other side of the mountain. You may have the go faster stripes, snorted Herbert at Zed, but I am the one with the dig deeper claws. So who is in front? Sidhani elephant atatoshea hapo by the way. Now, but Zed wasn't going to be beaten by a warthog. How? He raced ahead once more. He had almost reached the finish line when he stopped to admire his reflection in the water hole. Yani unakimbia hiyo mbio yote unastopishwa na maji jameni. Now, just look at those go faster stripes, says Zed. No one can beat me now. And then suddenly, there was a big wakapita shwa. And the other animals raced past Zed. The winners are Georgina, Nelson, Ronald, and Herbert, announced the snip-snip bird. Oh my God. Yes. Now, and in second place, Zed, tafadhali nisaidieni kusema. Yes. Well, I suppose I am not always the fastest side. Z. Georgina smiled. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. But at least we all had fun, didn't we? Z agreed. And now it is time for a party, he said and tapped a few dance steps. By the way, did you know I am the best dancer in Africa? Oh no. I think today's most important lesson is ukiwa ikimbishwa ambie upate kioo, simama tafadhali ujiangalie. Thank you. Hi everyone. It's my first time being at Rhythm and Brews. Imesema vizuri. So I go by the name Gasheri Kahani. My niche has been GK in a CEO government of Kenya. It could only mean one more thing. Gari kubwa, as you can see. Sindio? If you translate that, it's gonna give you a big car, which I, one day dream to drive. Okay. So I am an African Kenyan woman, as you can see. So allow me to give you my epic African story, love story that is. And I know it sounds delusional, but maybe it's a wish. This is how I would, welcome this love of mine, So come here, my love. Ukahaha mwedwa wakwa. Yeah? Dada ukuonia wedo. I want to show you my love. I want to make you feel like, I want to make you feel kaudoe, Hari kaudo. I want to feel your touch. You make me feel loved, Onandreda ahutie jigwe, he loves me. Remember, it's delusional love, okay? Epic African love story. So, I want to confess, shout out loud like, hi, my love, mwendo wako. In my dreams though, well, till the world stops for a second thinking I'm mad. But only I know what's making me mad, and that's love, which I call mad love. It will never be, yeah? Okay, so this is how I'm expecting him to ask when he sees me sad. Why are you mad? How would feel when he asks me that with a lot of love, throwing tantrums? Throwing pillows. He'd be lucky that I'm not throwing mugs and ceramic plates. Yeah? And what I get next is a tight hug. Tight ass. Nasi tight ass. What I'm saying. You're getting? Eh?
And what I assume is men are all the same, except for this one that lives in my mind, that only exists in my dreams and my mind as well, that I've just said right now. And allow me to take my nap a little bit longer than usual, because my solulu sometimes is my delulu, right? And I'm done with love, by the way, and that's how my epic African story sounds like. But I love you, my delusional love, and I pray to God that even if it's delusional tonight, may it come true someday. You know what I'm saying? Thank you so much. That's my name, Gasheri Kahani. As I've said earlier, my initials being GK. Na sio nini? Government of Kenya. It could only mean one more thing. That is gari kubwa. If you translate that, it's gonna give you a what? A big car. Okay, thank you so much.
Hello. Good evening. I am Wawira wa Murioki. Na Murioki ne Fafa. I'm here to tell a story. A Kenyan story, an African story. Yes. So, have you heard of the observer effect? I know you all have. Now there is another effect that is out there. When you interact with something, while it changes you, you also change it, right? The same happens with stories. That's why we say what you hear, take with a pinch of salt. And I ask, what happens when the last person gets purely salt? Because we all took it with a pinch of salt until there was too much salt. Anyway, today I'm telling a story about Wago wa Makeri. You've heard the story in many versions. This is going to be a new one. Until the lion knows how to write, the writer will always be the hero, right? But we tell what we know to keep our children aware of how things happened and to keep some names alive just one day longer. Niwe waigua ritwa Magereka ekana Magdalena. It is how McGregor becomes Magereka. The audacity of my mother tongue. McGregor, Magereka. Anyway, so many words will come up. Mtani elewa. Okay. Matuko-inĩ ma tene no ti tene mũno. No aga nĩ tene we. Nĩ tene? Nĩ mĩaka igana twĩ hakuhĩ gũkinyia merĩ. Mwaka wa 1856 rĩ, kairĩtu nĩ gaciarirwo. Kũrĩ mũirĩtu wetagwo Wakerũ na mũthuriwe wetagwo Macaria. Ngemi cia kairĩtu cikoragwo cigana? 3 kana 4. Ona inyuĩ mũtiũĩ, gacumbĩ nĩ kaingĩrĩte. Nĩ ciakiugirwo nĩ ũndũ wa kairĩtu gũciarwo. Na hĩndĩ ĩyo gũtiakoragwo gĩthomo. As you can see, we are in a library. We can read, we can enjoy that. Kairĩtu gaka getirwo Wangũ. Marĩtwa ma Gĩkũyũ nĩ marĩ meaning nyingĩ. Yakwa nĩ wa wĩra, nĩ kuga wa wĩra. Rĩa Wangũ ndigĩkĩmenya no nĩ ndĩraigua nĩ wa go ni kuni. Yes. Rĩu Wangũ nĩ arĩmaga mũgũnda-inĩ wa baba wao. O rũcinĩ magokĩra magathiĩ kũrĩma airĩtu na ariũ a nyina nao magagĩthiĩ rũru. Na kũu agĩcemania na mwanake na magĩkĩendana, etagwo Makeri wa Mbogo. Na agĩkĩgĩa mũndũ. Niĩ ndirĩ. No Wangũ nĩ akĩgĩire wake na makĩhikania. Akiuma kwao Gatigĩ agĩthiĩ kũndũ gwetagwo Wĩithaga. Kũu nĩkuo we na Makeri mambĩrĩirie mũciĩ. Agĩtiga gũtuĩka Wangũ wa Macaria, agĩtuĩka Wangũ wa Makeri. Good. Hey. Rĩu Wangũ wa Makeri rĩ, nĩ agĩakire mũciĩ wake ta mũtumia ngatha wa Gĩkũyũ-inĩ. Akĩgĩa ciana cigana? Na mũndarĩre na Gĩkũyũ. Akĩgĩa ciana cigana? Wa mbere ai inyuĩ nĩ mũrenda gũkinyia na beo. Anyway, makĩgĩa ciana 6 hamwe. Hĩndĩ ĩyo kwarĩ na mũgeni wokĩte gũcerera bũrũri ũyũ witũ mũtambũrũko-inĩ wa irĩma cia Kĩrĩnyaga. Mũgeni ũcio etagwo Nyakerũ. Etagwo Nyakerũ nĩ tondũ ngothi yake ndiahananaga na itũ. Nĩ yarĩ njerũ mũno mũno mũno. No ya warĩ hĩndĩ ĩyo etagwo Mĩceni. Missionary. Mĩceni. Rĩu Mĩceni nĩ akaga mathukuru. Warĩ tu oikinya thĩinĩ wa wathani wa Nyakerũ. Hĩndĩ ĩyo mabundithanagia altar boys and priests. Yo ciĩtagwo na Gĩkũyũ no nĩ ngũthoma. Rĩu rĩ, nĩ kwarĩ na cibũ wa itũũra rĩu rĩetagwo Fort Hall. Ũmũthĩ ũyũ gwĩtagwo Mũrang'a. Cibũ etagwo Karũri wa Gakure. Tũtingĩheana rũgano rwa Wangũ wa Makeri tũtakũgweta Karũri. Maũndũ nĩ maingĩ mekĩkaga no ha wendo rĩ, no wendwa mangĩkĩmenya kĩrĩa kĩrathiĩ na mbere gatagatĩ kao. Karũri nĩ aceraga kwa Makeri mũno 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 nginya Makeri we mwene akarigagwo ikamũgeni ũyũ agĩceragĩra. Nĩ wakwa no niĩ no kũmuona ndĩmuonaga gũkũ, akoragwo okĩte kwao. Na agĩgĩtuĩria. Na ndeto ĩrĩa amenyire ndĩamũkenirie mũno. Ũguo nĩ arakarire mũno. Inyuĩ mũreciria atamenyire kĩ? Yes. Harĩ maũndũ matanagererwo kĩng'ang'a-inĩ. Kĩrĩa amenyire nĩ kĩao. Na cibũ Karũri nĩ endaga kũmũhoreria ngoro ta mũrata wake. Agĩkĩmũthaithe matuĩke ya kũiguana. Na hĩndĩ ĩyo Mangereka nĩ ahetwo wĩra wa gũcaria macibũ kana headsmen. Of course na kĩrathi matigũkinyĩra Karũri wa Gakure no megũkorwo anini yake. Eni uri weyuria igoti riambirie kurutwo guku gwitu ri. Nitoe kwa Kristo riari kuo miaka 2000 methiru. Give Caesar what belongs to Caesar. But when do you think our people started giving Caesar what was his? You go research. Riu Karori akira murata we Makeri. Wene oi athuri uria meranaga sorry. Ndagukwira ndekera. Agukwira na ndina kindu haha ni ukwenda. Akimwira Makeri. Ndina agati haha ga gutwika headman we ni ukwenda. Makeri na marakara make akiuga we ndagwika atia ndakwenda. No ngoro ya Karori ni yendete Wangu tondu ni ari mutumia muhinyaru, ni amuroraga akona wira wa mutumia uyu ni ukinyaniirie ki gikiro. Akimwira Wangu ndina giti haha kia headman na yo kiri woman ni ukuhota. Wangu akimwuria urari kuira kigirari giakwa na agikineo giti kiu agitwika the first headman or head woman rather, a female to lead mwaka wa 1902 akianjia gwathana. We ureciria ta gwakwa hanaga atia gukorwo na mundu urathana na ni mutumia miaka iyo? Muturire ni waku by the way, uture na rugendo rwaku rutingihanana na rwori ungi tondu riri 1902. I digress. Wangu agitwika headman na hindi iyo Nyakero ni endaga magoti, uguo riari wira wa Wangu gwitia igoti kuma kuri andu ake, na kaundu kau gatia thiaga wega na ngoro cia andu ake. Ni monaga ta marahinyiririo, we uturite urimite kiria wona ni giaku. Riu tondu Wangu ni atwika headman ni aroka kugira ati no ni ya thirikari. What is that? Who be that? Who be that? Na akiruta wira wake. Wangu ni arutire wira wake ta headman wa withaga matuko maingi muno tondu gugitarwo gutwikaga kuma mwaka wa 1902 kinya mwaka wa 1909. Iyo ni miaka igana 7 ni arutire wira wake na kio. Ni hari muhuhu gutwikaga ati Wangu ni ikaragira arube mugongo agiathana, na tondu ndiakiriho ndingimenya no ngigeria guthuthuria ni ndironaga ati aria matarihaga igoti ni amohaga. Mundu no nginya ahinyiririe watho wake. Ona wacora muhaka ndukarekio kirukwo. Wangu ndarekire no ndugagiikarire andu migongo. No ndire na uma kana niguo gwathiaga kana tiguo tutingimenya. Version ingi ya rugano ruu ni kuga ati Wangu etia igoti wona mwaga kuriha inyuĩ nĩ inyuĩ mwamukuagira giti giake gĩa uthamaki. Hindi ciothe ena mucemanio nĩ inyuĩ mũgũkua. No still any could be the truth or not. Wangu agĩgĩthamaka na athuri matiakenaga muno na nimetanaga ndundu makoranagia na ni atia tungika. Mutumia uyu ni atuikarĩire muno na ti mugongo, ni atuikarĩire muno. Na mwaka wa 1909 kuri mweri wa 6 tariki gutiuikene ciarĩ 2 inya kana cigana. Uranie ndioi, I was born juicy. Ni arutirwo wathani-ini na tigĩkuũ kia mũrutire wathani-ini. Rĩrĩa twamenyera gũkĩra mĩhaka rĩ, rĩmwe mĩhaka nĩ yagaga gũkorwo na meaning mĩtũrĩre-inĩ itũ. Na ngwĩciria bũrũri witũ wa ũmũthĩ nĩ reflectaga the same thing. Harĩ mũndũ wambatagĩra ikĩro akambatĩra agakinya handũ ikĩro icio rĩngĩ citirakorwo na maana harĩ we. Kĩrĩa gĩatũmire Wangu ate wathani wake nĩ rĩrĩ: Agĩathĩrĩria watho wa Nyakeru nĩ kwarĩ na watho wa Ũgĩkũyũ na harĩ na maũndũ mũtumia atetĩkĩrĩtio gwĩka. Na ona gũtuĩka wathani warĩ hau gatagatĩ-inĩ rĩ, harĩ na maũndũ gũtarĩ nganja mũtumia ndagĩrĩirwo gwĩka atĩa gwĩka. Nĩ kwarĩ na ndaci kana dance. Ndaci yetagwo kĩbata. Kĩbata yarĩ ndaci ya arũme atheri, no arũme metĩkĩrĩtio kũina. Na mwaka ũcio Wangũ nĩ akenete mũno, akĩona onake no eke atĩa, no athiĩ, na agĩthiĩ kũina kĩbata. Na gũgĩkorwo na njama, makĩmenya haha nĩho tũkũmũruta. No tũkĩremwo nĩ gũtetera kũina ndaci gwake ta gĩtũmi kĩiganu. Rĩu ũrĩa tũgwĩka, tũgũtinia kamũthuru gake kagwe akĩina, tuone ũrĩa gũgũthiĩ. Na nĩguo magĩkire. Wangũ akĩina kĩbata rĩ, kamũthuru gakĩgwa. Nĩ ũĩ kamũthuru nĩ ndũĩ? Gĩkũyũ nĩ kĩritũ. Kamũthuru gake gagĩkĩgwa, ũguo atigirwo akĩina arĩ njaga. Na ng'ano cikĩganwo nĩ gũtuĩkaga gĩtũmi gĩake kũina ndaci ĩyo kĩarĩ Karũri. Karũri arĩ ndaci-inĩ na Wangũ nĩ endaga kũmũkenia, ũguo akĩingĩra maine hamwe. Ona thikũ ndiathirire ithatũ matetanĩte, gũgĩtuĩka ũyũ nake nĩ eka atĩa, nĩoka mũno, ũyũ nĩoka mũno. Na kĩu gĩgĩtũma ate hinya wake igũrũ rĩa bũrũri wake. No Wangũ nĩ agĩathanĩte mĩaka ĩigana 7. Gũgĩcario mũndũ ũngĩ agĩtuĩka headman, no ũndũ ũcio ndwabutire ũthamaki wa Wangũ na maũndũ marĩa mothe ekire. Barabara iria ciothe ciakirwo gwatithania Mũrang'a ya ũmũthĩ ta ũrĩa tũmĩũĩ. Maendeleo make mothe marĩ o kuo, thiĩ ũthuthurie umenye Wangũ akĩrĩ ũ. That was just a snippet of Wangũ wa Makeri. Na gũtunywo mamuraka kwa Wangũ gũtiatũmire agũithie ũrĩa arĩ. Wangũ nĩwe wacarĩirie Makeri wa Mbogo atumia ake acio mamũrũmĩrĩire. Na Wangũ nĩ atũrire mũtũrĩre wake na gĩtĩo ta mũndũ wanathamaka. Mũthamaki. Mũthamaki ũgĩtete mamuraka, no mũthamaki nevertheless. Agĩkĩhurũka mwaka-inĩ wa 1936 kana 1915, depending on the books or the resource you use. That is the story of Wangũ wa Makeri, a legend for my Kikuyu people and an inspiration for the daughters of Mombi and daughters everywhere. Thank you.
Now this is your time as the audience. Are you ready? You all had a piece of paper, right? Hebu nionyeshe. Before we give you coffee to stimulate your, you need caffeine to stimulate your mind. Kidogo. I hope umeandika your story. I hope you are ready. For the ones who came in a little bit late, we used the story cubes. I know they are not common around here, but we have different sets. We have one which has 24, mine has 9, I have another one with 3. They help you to think through something. So we asked you to make an original African story. Yako ni original? Hakuna chat GPT, hakuna AI. Aya, now You can ask your friends to help you. Have you asked your friends to help you? At least unajua mwenzako mwenye amekaa kando yako anaitwa nani? Kai. Tiwago ama Kelly. So, yes, I can see the discussion. So, sijui tutaanza in what format? So, do you want them to come here, you will turn the camera? So, for the ones who are not, Akianan, it is, yes, ask the questions. So this, I don't know if you can see mine, okay? I'm trying to not let it fall. It's a combination of different ideas, and because we are doing epic African stories, we could start something like, for me, time, the clock would be how tenetenemuno. Once upon a time, the staff would still represent there was an old man, okay, who sat us down to tell us a story about a dragon. Ohihi ni mwamenyaga ni kwari na clans meherega 12 ya marimu. Moyo marimu manya kodo nema. Please look for the rest. Mari 12. Aya, you did not know. Nevertheless, your history is very interesting. He sat us down to tell us about a dragon. Little did we know that they had covered the entire universe. Unaona, see my globe over there, si mnakaona pale. So I am making up a story as I go along using what is on the face of the. Now, are you ready? We are going to ask each of you to be bold enough to take the chair. Now remember that the gift that you're going to win is going to be courtesy of your friends voting and revoting online. We are going to be monitoring that, and by the time we announce the next Rhythm and Brews, we'll also have announced the winner. Oh, utafurahia, by the way, guy. Oh my God. We give like librarians. Nilikuwa nadhara kusema ile ya Nyeri, librarians. Mnajua tu. So, if you are ready, starting with Sue. Hakuwa na karatasi. Remember, you have a minute and a half. DJ. Yes, umeandika. So please remember to show us what your paper looks like as you say your story. Okay? Please tag Inspire Children and Inspire Nyeri Kenya. Hashtag Rhythm and Brews. Sawa sawa, ndio tukupate. Now, where are we beginning? Ndege has offered to go first, to give everyone time, and then we will come back here. Now you are ready. No, be bold. We are African. You know. Heroes, Puana. Legends. Today you are a legend.
Crazy, right? I know. Hi everyone. We are back again. So, my story has 9 components. The first one being the eye. The second one is somebody who is at the feet of I don't want to say a much bigger person, but well, like they are overshadowed. The third one is more of a sad face, but a mask. The fourth one is a sleepy head. I know one of them. And then this is the fourth one. The fifth one is a bee. The sixth one, a star. The seventh, a sheep. The eighth are 2 masks. You can say they're masquerading, but well, so the last one is a torch, which is typically light. So, I'm going to tell you a story based on these 9 components. It is said that beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. But for most of us who have grown up in rural Africa, we know that we are mostly hidden away from the eye that sees. Some of us are considered the black sheep of the places we come from. So most of the times, we tend to hide our light. We are shunned and thrown away. The society tells us that we cannot be shooting stars. Our ceilings are always limited. And then it follows that even our buzzing is considered sometimes noise. Sometimes you're told you're too loud. Or stop speaking. So what do we do when we grow into adults in a society that shuns us? We tend to stay indoors sleeping, or we always hide away. Saying that we don't need to interact with our communities. And we keep wearing masks because we want to present a different personality or a different person. But have you ever asked yourself that what happens when two black sheep meet? They masquerade as two individuals who understand each other. They're like, I know, right? They keep telling each other, I know your story, I feel you, I hear you, I see you because I'm like you. And the beauty that comes out of this, truly, is the light that they're able to show each other. They become like two inseparables. They become those individuals while others are waiting for light at the end of the tunnel, wanajibebea taa yao. So then, they shoot like stars and they brighten the days of others who have once lost their star. They buzz, and like the beauty of the bee, they hum of the most beautiful sounds that you can always and ever wonder about. So as their heads hit the pillow every night, they're satisfied that even though the eye of the universe may not see them, they have seen themselves first. So this is just to remind you, just like the African spirit, always go out embracing one another, saying, Sawabona, I see you, I hear you, and I feel you. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Marvin. So here, the first picture shows some water well, I think a fountain. So it's a symbolism of something like blessing. Water brings life and something of the sort. So the next one is a tree. The third one is something like a wand, so some sort of magic. Then the fourth one is fire. The fifth one shows something like a mask. It is acting. Those ones that are in role plays or something. Then the sixth one is a magnifying lens, something for searching something. So, and the seventh one is a bulb. A bulb shows an idea, I think. Then the eighth one is an apple. An apple, it's just a fruit, I think. Then the last one sijui jina, so but inaweza symbolize some sort of stability or something. So my story is about someone called Siambi. That is, so Siambi is in the modern world today. So Siambi is in a constant search of who he is. He's searching who he is by putting on a mask to hide his his true self. His true self from the world and what the world may offer. So Siambi looks on what he can do, or also what he can be, with the hope that things will work out and attain some sort of stability, either financial stability or just stability in life. So wishing that like Albert Einstein, that we can just sit under the tree, and so by the fall of an apple we can get an idea that will be a life changing, give us a new life and a new hope that the things will be better and change it for the greater future. So but the fear, the fire, this is some sort of fire symbolize wrath, consequences and fear. So the fear of failure and the wrath that comes with it lowers our spec of the apple only to a fruit to be eaten, and not something that can revolve around coming with an idea of some sort of discovery that may change the world, like gravity. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Yeah, mine has Ismail the poet. Mine has 9. We have a dice. I think this is a pyramid. I interpreted it to be a pyramid. This is a phone book. A phone. Is it a cell phone? Yeah, cell phone. Now my line has a phone book. Now that's what I say. We have an apple. We have a sheep. Then a face, and I believe this guy is sad. Then this is a bridge. Then I interpreted this to be a compass and a house. Yeah. So mine is more of an unfolding history, and probably you might know it. Yeah. If I was to title it, I would say, "You remind me of someone." It's more of puns and such, yeah. So I have a house. Alitupromise affordable housing. So kama kondoo tukamfuata bila kujua direction. Ati itakuwaje tukitaka kwenda kuona pyramids in Egypt, lazima tupite Singapore. So I may throw words like, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So itakuwaje ati tukitaka kubuild bridges, we must tow each other down. So juu ya hii story, kama gari zimesimama kwa traffic, mi nimejam. Si akiendelea kucheza na dice, mi nitamshow niko kadi. Na juu ya hiyo story nimejaa ngori.
hadithi. Haya, kumbe I see you guys mlifanya baby class, not playgroup. Good to know. So I go by the name Chris, and even before I get to this, I'll digress a bit. Since we are here on African stories, there's an African story, actually real, that one of my aunts loved to tell, and it's very amusing. So there was this church somewhere Mashinani in Kikuyu land, and as you know how those churches operate, they usually select a person to lead, a person to read the Bible verses, and so on. There was this gentleman who was chosen for this particular service to read the verse, and of course it was a Kikuyu verse. He prepared himself, went to church, and upon arriving, his moment came. He went in front, took the stage, and started reading. But on that day, sorry for him, he had forgotten his glasses. So he decided to fast soldier on. After one sentence, 2, 3, struggling to read, he decided to come clean. And before I proceed, this is a story that shows the power of words. The right word at the wrong time can be disastrous, and same goes for the opposite. The right word at the wrong time, still dangerous. So as he was coming clean to the church of his struggles to read on the day, he went on and said, "Ando akwa omothe ndiganeirwo ne testicles ciakwa." So no one had the courage to interrupt or correct, and he went on. He decided he'll need some help to proceed, and remembered, oh, jirani yangu Mrs. Maina also has reading glasses, and he decided to ask, "Nina Maina, diganeiro testicles ciakwa ni ukuire ciaku mothe?" So I'll not continue, I'll not go any further, but that is a story of testicles and spectacles. How the right word at the wrong place can be disastrous. So on today's agenda, hapa nao mtanisamehea, I'll start from this side. I have a keyhole, key, moon, something like seems like to be the figure, a globe-like figure with an image of a rock person. Maybe it's my imagination, and then there's someone sleeping. This one not so sure what it is. And then we have a mask here, and we have what? Yes, exactly, rainbow. Thank you very much. But my story is a collection of all this in one, my interpretation of all of them together. So this is the story of the earth, our land, the soil that feeds us, that holds everything together, something we take for granted. But it's not just its story, it's about the stories it will tell, the stories it can tell. Stories cutting across territories and time. If it were to tell its stories, where will it start? Perhaps with all the great things that have happened in the past, of empires, kings, prophets. Or perhaps it will speak of the not so nice things, floods, famine, even the Ice Age, of empires that came to be and are no more. Will it mention our ancestors, Luanda Magere, Gikoyo and Mombi, and dare I say, Zed the zebra? So forgive me, handwriting nimepotea mali nilikuwa juu ya kudigress. Let me find my place. Aya. So, what story will it have just for you? It will mention that across time you are just but a brief moment. It will tell you of all the things that seem to be beyond your control, not to worry. It will mention that there's greatness etched inside you, passed down through generations. It will tell you that there's no better time to exist than this age. It will tell you to just go for it. Thank you.
Yeah, kwa kameramani. So as you are getting ready, nitampea story yenye sio ya ajabu. Recently, I believe I'm a legend, by the way. Yes, because I crossed Lake Turkana. It was in the most dramatic fashion, and I can assure you those men will never forgive me. Waliniingisha kwa boat after witness 2 crocodiles getting into the water. I am a child of the mountain. The most we have ever seen is when we passed by Chania. Tini ukweli. So are we getting ready with our stories? Unfortunately, wakati tulifika katikati, the spirit of Waru ika manifest, maji ikaanza kuenda hivi na hivi na hivi. I am a good swimmer but not anything more than the karai tafadhali. The idea of drowning cost me in my 45 years to cry like a baby in the middle of the water. Alafu yule mzee wa Turkana akaniambia, mama, that spirit of yours itafanya to drown. Mimi namwangalia na mwambia, nani sio mimi, ni bike tumebeba inataka kujifanyia suicide. Bike inaangalia maji inataka ku drown. Have you ever been in a situation where you make everything exaggerated? I did. 2 crocodiles in the water, I witnessed them with my own eyes. Very big waves. And then on top of it, the 10cc pusha ndani ya maji. Alafu wale wanaume watano waniambia iko I'm like, Jesus, please come. Tuko katikati ya maji, inji nikapoa. Now with those few remarks, are we ready for the next speaker? Are we ready? Si tumpigie makofi, tumu-encourage. Asante sana. Come.
Hi guys, my name is Gavigia Mwema. I'm sorry. So I told myself, let me just do this before I convinced myself not to do it. And in the spirit of trying new things, I decided let me do it. So this is going to be a bunch of. So I hope you can see. Yeah. So I have a dice, a pyramid, a phone, an apple, a sheep that I colored myself black, a sad face. My big back thinks this is steak, so we'll go with steak, okay? And I don't know, like just all directions and home. So life is crazy because we are all living here for the first time, right? And you kind of have to roll the dice and figure out how you're going to climb your way to the top of the pyramid. A lot of people always, are always on their phones, right? And for you to kind of feel like, or rather for me growing up, or rather for the past couple of months, I always used to think that as long as you have an iPhone or an Apple device, you're kind of better than everybody. That's obviously so weird. And you'll often find yourself being the black sheep of either your family, your friends. If you're not as successful as them, you'll always find yourself comparing yourself to them. And that may make you sad, right? But you can always eat first, big back, eat first, probably also take a nap before you just let life pull you every which way, in all directions, okay? And you also have to always remember that at the end of the day, you are your longest friend forever, so you have to always make sure that you feel like home to yourself. So always be kind. All right.
So nervous. So I had the same as her, the dice, pyramid phone, the sad face, sheep, apple, a bridge, there's water, yeah. And then the all directions and the house. So the only thing in ilikuja kwa my mind is Jesus. So yes. Yeah. So let's start with Habaju. They were always meant to roll the dice, cast lots, and take you on the cross. From the time of Moses, the pyramids, Pharaoh, to our time, where phones dominate. He still wanted me, the one sheep out of the 99. The sadness that I portray because his beautiful story nowadays is like water under a bridge. They say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But this heavenly doctor is omnipresent. Everywhere, all at once, all directions. So how can I forget he who calls my body a house of his Holy Spirit? Thank you.
They said to give them a minute to catch their breath. So tuendelee ama tusiendelee? We have a few more people remaining. I am loving the courage in this room. It takes courage to take the seat. So, wallahi nitaendelea na your spirit. Lakini as they are writing their final sentences, tulikuwa tumefika katikati ya Lake Turkana. Wallahi the engine went off. I have 5 men surrounding me. Na since ameingisha story ya Holy Spirit, I swear nilitafuta your presence nikapata tu mkono. Wacha na crocodile. That my heart stopped and I called for my mother. Yes. They literally told me kuna 5G katikati ya mtu unaweza piga simu. Now, wakati na boti iliendelea, unfortunately pale kando kulipita boti ingine ilikuwa imebeba coffin, iko na plus pale katikati. Have you ever seen so many signs you are like not today my brother? and then nika calm spirit down na tukaenda. Ikiwa haujawahi lia ni kupata land, ikiwa hujailia ni kukanyanga soil, ikiwa hujailia ni kuona mchanga unaikiza. Jesus, thank you. And then you proceed to sit for 30 minutes and actually let your body let it all out. If you have never, and then walked 1 kilometer while dying. Now, mko tayari? No, Turkana iliniingisha kwa mdomo, ikanitafuna, alafu ikanitema, but I can tell you, the experiences are worth more than gold. So ladies, are we ready? Thank you for taking the stage. Come on.
Hi guys. So I'm gonna need to have your expectations on the floor. So my name is Monica. It's the first time I'm doing this. I don't even know how I'm gonna do this. Yes, you should be excited because this is about you. Yes. So my story, I'm just gonna use some of these because I don't understand what some of these are. So there's a house, there's a tortoise, there's an eye, there's a magnet, and there's some lightning or whatever. So this is just a visualization of blue. So this is dedicated to you. So I envision GK in our beautiful house, just chilling, doing nothing, fantasizing about the weird romance. And then out of nowhere, there comes a man. And then he starts peeping in the curtains with the big eyes. And then the man starts feeling something, but very, very slowly. And then there's just some spark, kind of attraction, I think, between you two. I'm not sure, you can tell me. And then all of a sudden, the Tima. So, thank you guys.
Hi guys. Mkaje? Hi Karen. Crazy. So I'm a rapper and we don't finish sentences. It's a problem by the so ukiona sijamaliza wacha iende. Sawa. Okay, so mine is the same as most of you guys. I have a dice, niko na pyramid, I have a phone, I have an apple, I have sheep. Is it a sheep or sheep? But is it a sheep or is it just sheep? A sad face. Then a bridge, a house, and I don't know what's this. This is like many directions. Yeah. So I tried writing a story. Nikapata naandika like 50 paragraphs. Nikasema, let me just come and do my thing. Ishako kitabu. Anyway, so I'm Kissy. And there's a story, a legend, if I may say, that is older than pyramids. And it talks about how if you find an apple, you'll be happy in your life. And it's talked about in the Kisii culture. Has anybody ever been to Kisii-land? So beautiful, yeah? So beautiful. So it's hilly, and somewhere deep in the hills, deep in the forest, there is a community that was not known. It's part of the Kisii, but they never talked about it. Sawa? And in that community, everybody that was born sad. People happy, and the main reason is they lived the life on and on and on and on, without anything exciting to talk about and such like. But there was a boy who was born, and his father owned a sheep. No. So his father owned a herd of sheep, and and his son was the one who was taking care of them every day. Each morning, he used to give him a phone just to go and herd the cattle, herd the sheep. And on this day, there was no, let's say there was drought, right? Sindio, there was no grass for a yard or so, and the normal place that he always goes to take the sheep. And funny enough, on this particular day, his phone was off. Sawa. And amefika kwa land, ako like, so do I just go back with the sheep back home, hungry? And he just thought, let me step forward, cool, and let me try go further into the mountains and see if I can find food for the cattle. So he goes, tries, and he comes across a bridge. He had never seen this before, so he just chooses to see what's on the other side. So once he's on the other side of the bridge, nikumbusheni nikisahau, I'm coming up with this thing. Nikisahau, please just give me something. On the other side of the bridge, so where he's from, he's used to signs that show them the direction. So food here, road here, town here, such kind. And he comes across this sign, which doesn't show any particular direction. And remember, he's looking for grass. He's looking for grass for his sheep. Crazy. And so he chooses, let me just choose a direction to go. Remember, phone is off, going to uncharted territory. So he chooses one, and luckily he finds grass. Luckily he finds grass for the sheep, and he's able to herd and goes back home. Goes back home to tell his father the story of what he found. He goes back with the dad, and they find a new community of people where they're still kisses, happy, and they teach each other how to just live and coordinate and so on and so forth, and they become a happy community. That's the end of my story. So go ye and conquer. And get grass and sheep. Thank you.
So, good evening. My name is Charity, and my story card contains a fountain, a tree, a wand, a fire, faces, a lens, a bulb, an apple, and scales. So mine will be sort of a fairy tale. So we have Little Wangari. Little Wangari lives in a backwater. Nothing never really happens there. But she asks herself a question, like, why can't we all be happy? Why does one part of the world have to be sad and the other one happy? So she went to the magic fountain and dropped a coin and asked, and said a wish, and wished a wish. Akasema, why can't we all be happy? Then fairy godmother had her and appeared. And fairy godmother saw that this wasn't something she could wish away. This was a curiosity, something that she had to see and learn. So she took her to the magic tree. The magic tree had magic apples, and if you take a bite of this apple, it would answer all your deepest questions. So, fairy godmother led little Wangari to the magic tree. Little Wangari asked, all she had to do was hit the tree, like, okay, maybe kuishika, and the tree would drop an apple with whatever she desires. So all she wished that there was balance, that the scales would not tip to one side, not to the other, that maybe the scales were never there, everybody ikuwe na equality and all. So akapewa hiyo apple, akauma. And for there to be balance, okay, there were million possibilities, and everybody just chooses the best one. Just chooses the best one. And as she beat the apple, she saw like many possibilities. Like all of us have many possibilities, but we never know what to take. It'd be like, what if I did this? What if I did that? But since the human life is also very short, it's very hard to explore everything. So we just take the best one. So when she beat the apple, she saw that there must be some compromise in the world. That balance may never not be there, or if it's there, it's not in the way that she sees it fit, like haitamfurahisha, but it will always be there. Thank you.
We have come to the end of the 4th chapter of Rhythm and Brews. I would like you to take a minute to actually appreciate yourself. Akiana njipigieni makofi. Today everyone is a legend. Thank you for showing us your hidden talent, man. Tumeshanga, kuna mpaka grass na magic apples. We did not know. Ajua. So the next edition, the next chapter will be on 9th of May, right? And it will be gods, heroes, and warriors. Please, we always invite the audience to participate with us. So be thinking about a story that might come up. And we really appreciate your presence here. It matters. It matters to not only us, but also the band. Hebu apigeni makofi. Jamani hawa wase wamejaribu, si ndio? We know this is a really new concept in Nyeri, so if you have any ideas, feel free to see me or any of the staff that is around. Sijui inspire staff, ebo salimieni watu, simfungue stima kiana ni muonekane. We have wamejificha. There is Jason over there, then there is Vincent, there is Sue, there is Jessica mwenye mlipata hapo nje Waiganjo. So feel free to see any of us and offer your suggestions. We will be more than happy to listen. So as Rhythm and Brews progresses, you'll notice occasionally we tell you we can meet elsewhere. Rooftop, fireside editions, traveling, you never know. Camping, you never know. Sini ukweli. So we have come to the end. Asante sana. Your host has been Emily. My goodness, I do not know if I am a good host, but I have tried. And assisted by Waiganjo of G Twist Films. Please sendeni pale kwa mitandao. It is Inspire Nyeri Kenya, Inspire Coffee and Poetry. For Coffee and Poetry, the next edition is The Color of Me on 24th of April. Since iyo wiki ingine ni fast. It's your birthday, takuimbia happy birthday. So let band iendelee. Feel free to leave at your leisure. Asante sana. Tutatuma link ya picha hapo kwa hiyo group.